I married him because I believed he was the man my family chose, a quiet, responsible, and honest man named Daniel. He was supposed to be the second son of the influential Carter family. Our families had been close for years. When the proposal came, I didn't question it. I trusted my parents. I trusted his family. On the wedding day, he was calm and silent, avoiding my eyes. I thought it was nerves. After all, we barely knew each other, and arranged marriages weren't easy for anyone. Life as his wife started smoothly. He treated me well enough, never harsh, but never affectionate either. He kept to himself. I assumed he was reserved, a man of few words. I accepted it and tried to be a good wife. But slowly, things didn't add up. He always avoided family gatherings. When we did meet as relatives, he'd leave quickly or act distant. He rarely answered calls from his brother, the real Daniel, who I thought he was. One night, I overheard a phone conversation. "You owe me," he snapped. "I gave up everything so you could chase her." My heart stopped. He wasn't Daniel. He was pretending. And it wasn't just a harmless mistake. He'd taken his brother's place, married me under a false name, and had the audacity to continue living the lie. I didn't confront him that night. Instead, I started watching more closely. He never talked about his past. When I asked questions about his childhood or university, he changed the topic. The more I looked, the clearer it became this wasn't the man I thought I married. 3 weeks later, I secretly contacted an old friend who worked in public record. What I found confirmed everything. My legal husband was not Daniel Carter, but Aaron Carter, Daniel's older brother, who had supposedly disappeared overseas years ago. He returned just to marry me. But why? What did he gain? The answer came in the form of a letter I found hidden in his study drawer. It was from Daniel, written months before our wedding. "You owe me one thing. I'm going after her, but the family wants me to marry for the company. Handle it." By me time, I realized then I wasn't loved, wanted, or chosen. I was a placeholder, a pawn, a solution to someone else's love story. And the man sleeping beside me every night, he wasn't just a liar. He was helping his brother be with another woman, all at my expense. The worst part, he had started to act like nothing was wrong. He came home earlier, made me tea, and even complimented my cooking, as if trying to settle into a normal life, as if the lie didn't matter anymore. But it did, because I had given him my trust, my loyalty, my name. And he had given me a lie in return. I packed my bags that night. He was out. I didn't leave a note. Some betrayals don't deserve explanations. I didn't go far that night. I checked into a small hotel on the edge of town. I needed time to breathe, time to think. My phone buzzed with messages from him, short, vague ones at first. "Where are you? Are you okay? Come home." I didn't respond. He didn't deserve my silence, but he certainly didn't deserve my words either. Still, by the next morning, I found myself driving back not because I wanted to stay, but because I wanted answers. Face to face, he was home, sitting in the kitchen when I walked in. His eyes widened when he saw me, but he stayed seated, like he already knew why I was back. "You found out," he said simply. No denial, no surprise. I nodded. "So, Aaron, how long did you plan to keep this up?" He exhaled slowly, like he'd been waiting for the day to come. "Long enough to keep the family calm. Long enough for Daniel to run off with her. And me?" I asked. "What was I supposed to be? A stand-in bride to help your brother live out his fantasy? You were never supposed to get hurt." I almost laughed. "Hurt? You married me under a false name. You took vows as someone else. You let me live with a stranger." He finally stood. It wasn't supposed to go this far. I didn't want this either. Then why do it? I demanded. Why agree to marry me if you didn't even want a wife? His answer came quietly. Because Daniel's always been the favorite. The one with options. I owed him. At least that's what I believed then. He asked me for a way out, and I gave it to him. But I'm not a deal. I'm not a contract or a shield. I know that now, he said. And I never meant to trap you. I was going to tell you. I just couldn't find the right time. There is no right time to confess that your entire identity is a lie. We stood in silence for a long moment. I'm filing for annulment, I said. I've already spoken to a lawyer. The marriage was based on fraud. It won't take long. His face twitched. You don't have to do that. We can try again. The real me, this time. The real you, I asked bitterly. I don't even know your real face. Everything between us was fake. You let me fall for someone who didn't even exist. He stepped forward, as if to close the space between us, but I stepped back. This wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. You used me, Aaron. That's not something you fix with an apology. He didn't try again. He just watched as I turned, picked up my keys, and walked out the door again, this time for good. Outside, I felt the weight lift. It wasn't just about the lie anymore. It was about the dignity I still had, and the boundary I refused to let anyone cross again. After walking out for the second and final time, I went straight to my lawyer's office to move forward with the fraud was clear. My lawyer didn't even hesitate. You're doing the right thing, she said. This marriage was never real to begin with. But that didn't mean I could move on without questions. I needed to understand why. Not just from Aaron but from the entire Carter family. So I arranged a meeting with Daniel's parents. Mrs. Carter greeted me politely but cautiously. She looked at me like someone who had been expecting this day. Her husband sat beside her, stiff and silent. I assume you've spoken to Aaron, she said. I've spoken to my husband, I said coldly. Who turns out to be your other son. Care to tell me how that happened? She sighed. We didn't want it to be like this. But you were the only option. Daniel wasn't ready for the responsibility, and Aaron? He owed us. Owed you what? I asked. Mr. Carter finally spoke. Years ago, Aaron caused a scandal. He left the country to avoid it. We cleaned it up. When Daniel refused the marriage arrangement, Aaron agreed to step in as a favor to protect the company, the family's name. So you used me to save face, I said bitterly. I was just part of the family strategy. We thought it would work out. You're a strong woman. Aaron has changed. We hoped the two of you could make it work. I stared at them, feeling like I was listening to people discuss a business deal, not a marriage. Did Daniel love her? I asked suddenly. Mrs. Carter paused. Yes, deeply. But she wasn't from the right family, so he left me behind to chase love, while Aaron stepped in to fulfill the role of obedient son. It made me sick. Your sons may play games with names and titles, I said, standing up. But I won't let my life be decided by convenience. Neither of them stopped me as I walked out. That night, I finally blocked Aaron's number. I didn't care what reasons he gave. I didn't care about his guilt, his regret, or his sudden desire to fix what he broke. He had made a choice. And so had I. In the days that followed, I slowly told my parents. They were shocked at first, but supportive. My mother cried, apologizing for pushing the marriage without asking enough questions. You deserve better, she whispered. I nodded, but I didn't cry. I felt too numb for tears. I started looking for a new apartment, moved back to work full-time, and threw myself into routine. It was the only thing that made sense anymore. But no matter how much I tried to ignore it, I couldn't stop wondering. What kind of man lives under someone else's name so easily? And what did Aaron truly want me, or redemption? One thing was certain. I wasn't going to stick around to find out. It had been 2 weeks since I walked away from the lie that was my marriage. The annulment process was in motion. I focused on my job, my health, and reclaiming my life. Things were slowly settling until Daniel showed up. I was at a cafe near my office when he approached me. I recognized him. Instantly, Daniel Carter, the real one. The man I was supposed to marry. The man who disappeared and left his brother to stand in. He looked exactly like his photos, polished, confident, charming. But when he spoke, there was hesitation in his voice. "I'm Daniel," he said quietly. "Can we talk?" I stared at him for a moment before answering. "You're about 2 months late." "I know," he said, sitting down. "I didn't expect you to agree to the marriage so quickly. I thought I'd have more time." "Time for what?" I asked. "To run off with the woman you really wanted." He didn't deny it. "I loved her," he said. "Still do. But my family wouldn't accept her. They arranged everything so fast. Aaron said he'd cover for me, just for a while. He never told me he planned to stay." I took a slow breath. "So you knew the plan from the beginning?" He nodded. "It wasn't supposed to go that far. I didn't think he'd go through with the wedding. I thought he'd stall, find a way to back out. But he didn't," I said. "He married me, lied to me, pretended to be you." Daniel lowered his eyes. "I never meant for you to get dragged into that." "I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't change anything," I said coldly. "You left me with a stranger and called it love." He looked uncomfortable. He didn't just do it for me. He wanted a way back into the family. He thought if he proved himself, maybe our parents would forgive him. So that was it. Aaron used me as a ticket to redemption, and Daniel used me as a shield to pursue love. 2 brothers. 2 different reasons. 1 betrayal. "You're both cowards," I said finally. "You ran from responsibility. He ran from the truth. And I'm the one who had to clean up the mess." Daniel said nothing. What could he say? I stood up. "Whatever happens between you and your Rafael, just make sure she knows who you really are. Don't hide behind someone else's name." He didn't try to stop me as I walked away. That night, I lay in bed, thinking about everything. The lies, the roles, the identity that had never been real. And yet, for a moment, I thought about Aaron, not the liar, but the man behind the name. He had stayed. He had tried to fix things, in his own twisted way. But too much damage had already been done. Love, trust, marriage, they were never meant to begin with a mask. I hadn't heard from Aaron since I blocked his number. I thought that would be the end of it. But one evening, just as I was leaving work, I saw him waiting outside the building. He stood there in a simple gray coat, hands in his pockets, looking tired, less like the man who lied to me and more like someone who didn't know what to do next. "I just want a few minutes," he said. "Please." I should have walked past him. I should have ignored him completely. But curiosity, maybe even something deeper, stopped me. "5 minutes," I said flatly. We sat in a nearby bench under a flickering street lamp. He didn't speak right away. When he did, his voice was lower than usual. "I know I have no right to ask for anything," he said. But I wanted to say what I couldn't before. I didn't respond. I came back because I thought this could be my way in. Back into the family. Back into something stable. "I didn't know you, but I thought maybe, over time, we could make it real." "Real?" I asked. "How can anything be real when it started with lies?" He nodded slowly. "You're right. I lied. I pretended to be someone else. But the days we spent together, those weren't fake. I started to care about you. That wasn't part of the plan." I turned away, not wanting him to see the way my jaw clenched. "You think caring for me makes it better?" No, he said quickly. It doesn't. But it's the truth, and I wanted you to hear it. There was a pause before he continued. I talked to Daniel. I told him what I did was wrong. That I won't hide for him anymore. He gets to live his love story, but I won't help him lie again. I looked at him. What do you want from me, Aaron? His answer came after a long pause. Nothing. Not forgiveness. Not a second chance. Just ... closure. I never meant to hurt you. And I don't want to disappear like nothing happened. I stood up. You want closure? Here it is what you did, broke something I can't put back together. You can regret it all you want, but I will never see you the same way again. He didn't argue. I hope you figure out who you really are, I added quietly. Not just who your family needs you to be, or who your brother asks you to be. He gave a small nod. Thank you for at least hearing me out. I turned and walked away, my heels echoing against the pavement. This time, I didn't look back. I wasn't sure what hurt more. The lie, or the fact that a part of me still wanted to believe something in it had been real. But I knew one thing for sure: I was done being anyone's second choice. It wasn't long after Aaron's apology that I heard the whispers. At first, it was from mutual acquaintances. Then from colleagues who had ties to the Carter family. The woman Daniel had left me for, the real love of his life, had returned. Her name was Claire. She wasn't new to the family's circle. She'd been Daniel's high school sweetheart, beautiful, independent, but never approved by the Carters. Her return brought waves. Everyone was talking about her. What surprised me more was this: Claire wasn't just back. She was now engaged. To Daniel? I saw the announcement online. A carefully staged photos of the two of them standing in front of a lake, smiling, hands intertwined. The caption read, "After everything, it's finally our time." Everything. That single word carried weight, because everything included me. I sat in my new apartment, staring at the screen. Not sad, not jealous, just tired. I had been the placeholder, the solution, the name in the contract. While they waited for the dust to settle, I was the cover-up, the bridge they used to reach each other again. A week later, I ran into Claire. It was at a charity event I hadn't planned on attending, but my boss insisted. She was there, radiant in an emerald dress, with Daniel at her side. She saw me first. To my surprise, she broke away from him and approached. "Hi," she said, voice calm. "I'm Claire." I gave her a flat smile. "I know who you are." There was a silence between us before she said, "I didn't know they were going to use you." I swear. I left because Daniel's family made it clear I wasn't welcome. I never agreed to how they handled it. "And now you're back," I replied. "Engaged?" Smiling for the cameras. Must be nice. She didn't look offended. Just ... solemn. "I didn't want to be part of a lie. But you benefited from it," I said. "You got your happy ending." Meanwhile, I was married to a man who wasn't even who he claimed to be. Claire took a breath. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I didn't say anything." I didn't owe her forgiveness. Later, as I left the venue, I caught Aaron watching from across the room. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't mingling. He looked like he didn't belong there anymore. Because he didn't. He had played a role in their reunion. Now that it was complete, he was left alone with the damage. Let them celebrate their love story. Let them post photos and bask in their victory. I didn't envy them. Because I knew something they didn't. Love that starts with lies will always carry cracks, no matter how pretty it looks on the surface. After running into Claire, I thought I'd buried the last chapter of that twisted story. But closure, I learned, isn't a neat and final thing. It doesn't always come with answers or peace. Sometimes, it just comes with silence. Aaron reached out again, through email this time. It was short, only a few lines. I won't contact you again. But I meant it, every word I said. I hope you find someone who starts with the truth, not a mask. Aaron, I stared at the message for a long time before deleting it. No reply. There was nothing left to say. People around me kept moving forward. Daniel and Claire had their engagement party, a grand affair, full of photographers and smiling guests. I didn't attend, but I saw the pictures. Her hand on his chest, his eyes fixed on her. They looked like the perfect couple. But I knew better now. Perfection was often just a well-maintained illusion. Back at work, I was slowly earning back respect, not because of who I married, but because of how I handled the fallout. I'd been humiliated, but I hadn't fallen apart. That counted for something. One afternoon, I got a visit from Mrs. Carter. She didn't call ahead. She just showed up at my office, holding a paper bag of pastries and a tight smile. I came to check on you, she said, and to say something I should have said a long time ago. I let her in. She sat across from me like a stranger, trying to remember how to be familiar. I thought I was doing what was best for the family, she said, but I never considered what it would cost you. I'm sorry. It wasn't warm, it wasn't emotional, but it was honest. I nodded. Your sons made their choices. You don't have to carry it for them. She looked relieved, maybe even grateful. Before she left, she added, you were the best thing that came into that house. We didn't deserve you. It was the first time someone from the Carter family admitted it. After she left, I sat in silence for a long while, not angry, not bitter, just breathing easier. Closure didn't mean everything was fixed. It just meant I no longer needed anything from any of them, not an apology, not revenge, not even recognition. I had walked through their web of lies and come out on the other side, intact. Maybe that was enough. Life quieted down. The noise from the Carter scandal faded. People moved on, and I focused on work, built new routines, and avoided anything that smelled like romance. Then someone entered my life who wasn't tangled in lies or broken promises. His name was Marcus. He worked in the same industry, a few years older, calm, direct, and nothing like Aaron or Daniel. What started as polite professional exchanges slowly turned into regular coffees, shared lunches, and long conversations about everything but work. He didn't know about my past at first. When I finally told him, he didn't flinch or ask probing questions. He just nodded and said, "You've been through a lot. Doesn't change who you are today." That meant more than he probably realized. He wasn't dramatic. He didn't promise forever. But one day, after dinner at a quiet rooftop restaurant, he looked at me and said, "I don't believe in rushing things. But I do believe in knowing what's real. And this whatever we have is something I want to build on." It wasn't a grand gesture or a scripted line. Just honesty. Something I hadn't had in a long time. Still, I wasn't ready to leap. "I need time," I told him. "Take it," he said, without hesitation. "I'm not going anywhere." That patience, that steadiness, it felt like air after drowning in chaos. A few weeks later, he invited me to a small gathering at his place. A few friends, some light music, nothing formal. Toward the end of the evening, after most people had left, he handed me a small box, not a ring, but a key to my place. Not a proposal, just an open door. Come and go as you like. No pressure, no masks, no conditions. No brother pretending to be someone else. Just Marcus. And a key. I took it. Not because I was ready to love again, but because for the first time, I didn't feel like I had to guard every corner of my heart. Later that night, as I placed the key on my own counter, I realized how far I'd come. From deception and stolen identities to something real, even if it was still unfolding. Maybe the proposal I needed wasn't for marriage but for peace, freedom, and the choice to walk forward on my terms. Months passed. The Carter name no longer followed me like a shadow. The whispers faded. The stares stopped. I was no longer the woman whose husband pretended to be his brother. I was just me again, and that felt good. Marcus and I grew naturally, no pressure, no games. He never pushed me to define things. He just made space for me to feel safe. Slowly, I began letting him into corners of my life I'd once locked away. One Saturday afternoon, while cleaning out a box of old papers, I came across the wedding contract. The legal document that tied me to Daniel. Back when I thought I was marrying into a stable life, I stared at the signature, Daniel's name, but Aaron's handwriting. A perfect summary of the lie. Without hesitation, I fed the paper through the shredder. It didn't deserve to be stored anymore. That chapter was closed not with revenge or a dramatic exit, but with quiet clarity. I had survived betrayal. I had faced the ones who used me and walked away stronger. Daniel married Claire a few weeks later. I didn't attend, of course, but I heard the wedding was lavish. He never reached out again, not to apologize, not to explain. That silence was his choice. And I didn't need anything from him anymore. Aaron disappeared from the spotlight. He moved cities, according to someone I knew. Last I heard, he was trying to start fresh, without the Carter family controlling him. I didn't wish him harm. I just wished him honesty. As for me, I moved into a new apartment, not Marcus's. Not yet. Just a place of my own. One that didn't carry ghosts. And on a quiet Sunday morning, standing in my kitchen with sunlight streaming in and coffee brewing, I realized something simple but profound. I wasn't waiting anymore. Not for apologies. Not for closure. Not for someone to prove their love. I had given enough of myself to men who saw me as a convenience, a solution, or a stepping stone. Now, I was choosing myself. Every day. In small ways and big ones. If love came, it would come without secrets. Without roles to play. Without masks. And if it didn't, that would be okay. Too, because I'd already found something far more valuable than love. I found peace.